Hey Internet! Lately I've been struggling to come to terms with the concept of art for art's sake, a phrase that asserts the intrinsic value of art should be divorced from any didactic, political, or utilitarian function, argues that art doesn't need moral or social justification to be considered valuable, and believes the act of making art in and of itself is a worthwhile and self-fulfilling pursuit. It's a romantic concept, but at the same time not without controversy. But why? Well, for most of Western art history, artists have primarily worked in service to wealthy patrons like the church, monarchy, or state. Institutions that often dictated the subject matter and artistic styles that were considered acceptable. But the modern era, spurred on by Enlightenment thinking and the Industrial Revolution, radically altered the structure of society and the role of the artist within it. Beginning in the 19th century, we see a cultural shift away from artistic representations concerned with external, objective concepts of beauty, towards expressions of an internal, highly individualized concept of truth embodied by abstraction. As visual styles became more abstract, new criteria were needed to evaluate the quality of a work of art, and with it came a new way of thinking about art called formalism that aimed to be unbiased and amoral in its pursuit of so-called artistic purity. And it is this obsession with purity that is the source of controversy surrounding the idea of art for art's sake. Formalism attempts to rationalize and quantify an experience that is inherently subjective by focusing exclusively on the material qualities of color, brushwork, form, line, and composition. While adherents of the art for art's sake ethos claim to stand for artistic freedom, rarely do they advocate for artists working outside the framework of formalism, and in doing so imposed a new hierarchy on the art world that was largely dismissive of more narrative-driven expository styles. By advocating for the supremacy of so-called pure art, art for art's sake created an exclusionary climate consisting of art world insiders and outsiders. Diego Rivera warned that pure art would become something only appreciated by a few superior people, and that the art for art's sake movement would ultimately strip art of its value as a social tool and transform it into a currency-like item only available to the rich. It was a fear based on the idea that art would become increasingly inaccessible as it detached itself from any kind of narrative practicality, ultimately rendering it abstruse and socially irrelevant to the interests of the general public. Rather than communicate to the masses, the pure art of formalism seems predominantly concerned with catering to the taste of an elite few who view art as a potential investment to be gambled upon in a speculative market. Is the push for artistic purity worth the expense of alienating the general public? Does art for art's sake rob artistic expression of its humanity? What even is the value of art and the function of the artist in our contemporary postmodern society dominated by late-stage capitalism? I don't have the answers, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the subject, so feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.